said the rest of Angus stiffly. As do we all. The one doesn't preclude the other, you know. My oldest and dearest friend muttered something that I didn't quite catch and let his horse drop back so that I couldn't needle him any longer. Honestly, it was hard to imagine a less romantic setting than Gallacia in autumn. I edged Hop away from the side of the road, where a tangle of vines draped over a bare tree like spilled entrails. The road swallowed another hill and we started down it. I stared between my horse's ears and felt generally ill-used. Paris, when we left, had been in full glory. Much is made of springtime there, but for my money, a warm autumn is just as spectacular, and you don't trip over nearly as many poets. The window boxes of red geraniums glow like embers, and if it rains, it only makes the sunlight glitter more beautifully off the window panes. Not a week earlier, I had been leaning on the windowsill, the smell of fresh bread wafting up from the bakery below my apartment, listening to the sound of two coachmen fighting over a fare. They had called each other the most extraordinary names, but because they were screaming in French, it sounded like a declaration of love delivered in the heat of a grand passion. Truly, Paris was the city of my heart. And now I was here, back in Gallacia, the country of my birth, such as it was, riding down a road that made me feel as if I was being swallowed whole. We started up another rise. Hob, my horse, sighed as only a disaffected horse can sigh. I patted his neck. Hob was an old trooper, but technically so was I, and I didn't enjoy it either. Don't worry, boy. There'll be a nice hot mash at the end for you. I hoped there would be anyway. I'd written to Cadron, the man who kept up the hunting lodge, to tell him that we were coming. He hadn't written back. I was hoping that it was just because Cadron had never been terribly easy with his letters. But between the grim gray road and the grim gray trees and the grim gray sky, not to mention the profound lack of Paris, I was starting to feel distinctly worried. Don't sulk, said Angus. I'm not sulking. I didn't want to admit to baseless anxiety, so I added, it's my tinnitus. This was true, so far as it went. Changes in altitude always set it off, and the train from Paris to the capital had been nothing but altitude changes. I lost most of the trip to the high-pitched whine somewhere inside my head. Still, it could have been much worse. According to the doctor who told me the name of that ringing in my ears, a few hundred years ago, they thought that it was caused by the wind getting trapped in your ears. They used to treat it by drilling a hole in your skull to suck the trapped wind out. Now they just said, can't help you, sorry, and prescribed laudanum to help you sleep. Laudanum sounded lovely about now. Maybe that would make the growing knot in the pit of my stomach go away. There's nothing wrong, I told myself. You're just tired and cross. Cadron's letter is probably sitting somewhere in Paris, having just missed us. You know what the mail's like here once you get out of the capital. This was all true, and it still didn't make me feel any better. Hob clearly sensed my anxiety, but was either too well-mannered or too tired from the trip to make anything out of it. We'd left the capital behind about 5 hours ago. Me with a splitting headache, Angus with his usual unflappable calm, the horses with the deep suspicion that most horses feel about train rides. Angus had collected the horses, arranged for our luggage to be delivered separately, and we set out immediately. The greatest city in Gallacia is fine, I suppose, but I didn't feel the need to linger. Imagine if an architect wanted to recreate Budapest, but on a shoestring budget and without any of the convenient flat bits, while fighting wolves. The devouring road began not long after we left the city. We traveled from smell to smell, the road rising up into the scent of pines and down into wood smoke and damp, then back up to the pines again. The smell of wood smoke usually preceded a small village built in the Gallacian style, the houses clay-plastered wattle, all sporting weathered wooden shingles. Since our local clays are mostly gray, this means that our villages are mostly gray as well. For a short period after the war, we had lost so many young men that our male population was also gray, which led to the popular tragic song Silver, Clay, and Frost that every musician played for about a decade until we were all heartily sick of it. When we